And then, of course, along our waterways, you see them along creeks and rivers that empty into the Great Lakes. And from a recreational standpoint, it certainly is impacting how humans can get to the edges and fish or go see the lake or access the lake. But from a habitat perspective, this is really interfering with that edge habitat where frogs and turtles and snakes and birds used to be able to move easily from the open water up into the coastal habitat areas. And this is blocking their movement. And then, of course, along the beaches, this photo is from Long Point. I mean, it's pretty much, you don't think there's too many beaches you can go down Long Point. The issue from my perspective on these very sensitive beach systems is, again, you're reducing your vegetation diversity, you're reducing the habitat for species at risk. There's been a lot of work on this with Dr. Bert Blosky down at Cornell University, and I actually have a call on Monday to discuss how things are progressing, but basically we're years off on getting anything close to biological control. I don't know if you're aware, but for the purple loosestrife, that's pretty much how they manage that, those beetles. So from work in the United States, they have a product called Rodeo. We have a product here in Ontario, Roundup. Both of them have the active ingredient glyphosate, and that's what kills the plant. In the United States, they also have another product they use to control Phragmites. It's called Habitat, really nice, friendly name. The active ingredient is imazapyr. We actually have herbicides here in Ontario with imazapyr in it, and they're called Arsenal and Pursuit, and they're strictly for the agricultural business to control weeds in the corn crops and that. So we don't have anything similar to that. Method of control: spraying, injecting, and hand wicking out. We don't have that in our bodies. We produce our amino acids a very different way, and same with all other animals. So in other words, this glyphosate can't hurt me, it can't hurt animals. So actually, let's go back. So here's the issue. As you probably know, Phragmites does grow in wet areas. So how are we going to be able to control it in wet areas if we can't use the chemical? So our options are quite limited. And so one of the rules, and I think how you speak to this, is to try and get over water a product that we can safely apply over water and from the air. And I'll speak about why I think that's an absolute necessity. So it's impacting these very, very crucial habitat areas. And I mentioned that our ability to control the Phragmites in some of these areas, we're really working with our hands tied. We can't access these coastal areas from the ground. They're in water. And so right now, the plant is being left unchecked. I've been working on Long Point area, Lake Erie this year, and way out of the point, just Phragmites, and we can't get to it, can't do anything about it. So there we have our lovely Phragmites growing out over the water's edge, and this is down in Long Point. I talked about those morphological characteristics that kind of get a little bit indistinct, and if you look close, you'll see a lot of these shoots. They're kind of reddish and smooth, but that's the invasive. And it's an amazing plant, really. You have to have a lot of respect for this plant. Its will to live is quite high. So as the water level increases, it just keeps sending out more roots. So this is a picture looking down the water column. The water's about a meter deep. And you can see all the way down that water column on that stalk, the roots are emerging out. And then, as you saw in the previous slide, it can just keep sneaking across the water. Oh, there we go. So, as a result of the assessment work in Rondo, where I said, we went in and just found these dead zones, I thought, you know what, we have to do something. Let's try and find a way that we can start controlling this plant until we get some legal changes for overwater application. So, one thing I want to do, so because I mentioned Roundup kills all plants, and we're working in sensitive habitats, and on the edges of the Phragmites, you have your native plants there. There's a little bit of a gradient for your information. This is really key, particularly if you're using a chemical. As I said, when I first got it, I was really queasy about using Roundup, but I'm very comfortable with it. It's just getting the message out and letting other people know it's okay. And not only that, but if we don't, we're basically going to lose what we're trying to protect. We really will. So in order to get the message out, and you guys, this meeting today is fantastic. It's step in that direction. Get people educated about the plant so they don't go pick it, think it's a pretty grass, and move it from one place to another. They don't plant it in their backyards. That they understand why we need to control it and are on board with that. And also, it really helps if you've got local groups such as yourself that really care about the system and want to work to protect it. That goes a long way because you force your local government agencies to try and do something as well. As I said this morning, governments tend to be reactive, not proactive for some reason. So it's a good way to get them active. Signage is key. The Saugeen Shores, is it Saugeen? Yeah, Jeff was involved with that. They have a really good model for that. And Bill Jones with the municipality there gave a great talk in the spring at a workshop that Lake Huron Center sponsored. And they put notices out in the newspaper, they had radio information, they had flyers. The day of the spring, they had people on the beach to hand out flyers and talk to people about what they were doing and why they were doing it. And it was really well done. And I think that's really important as well. Okay, so answer is no. Recommended next steps. I mentioned we really have to try and get over water approval and aerial application approval. The forestry sector gets it. Somebody there must know how to do this. Kahi is our provincial Phragmites coordinator, and she's working with other agencies and other groups to try and push these needs through. She's going to speak a little bit more about that. The other thing is, it costs money to control Phragmites. Where does the money come from? We don't have really a pocket money. Every year I put in for our provincial or federal funding from our invasive program, species program. And basically the amount of money they have to deal with invasive species across our country, coast to coast to coast, not just Phragmites, but all of our invasives, it's really a drop in the bucket what's required. So I don't usually I have yet to be successful in getting some funds for this, but anyway, Jeff's been very successful in getting some funds provincially. No, that's good. Yeah. So my thing is, what we need really is province-wide, and again, this is something Kahi's been working with, a province-wide approach, because you don't just have Phragmites in all form. It's down the beach, up the beach, it's on your roads, it's on Lake Huron, Erie, Ontario. It's everywhere. So we need a concerted effort to try and control this. And I think we're getting there. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. The other thing I think we really should have is this Phragmites technical team. Now, Jeff and I we work together and work together with some other people, and we go into these sensitive habitats and kind of come up with a game plan on things to be controlled. But we're doing this on our own time, or as an aside to what our real jobs are. I think we need a core group that's able to do this and support it with some funds so they can offset the costs. So say an organization like yourself will come up with half of the cost, and then this group is able to kick in the next half, the other half, and then provide some guidance on how to proceed with controlling in your particular system, because every system is different and dictates different approach.